See, I was walking the dog out in this neighborhood. I've got my bamboo stick. I'm going really cautious, really easy. And this young man comes running by, just running on this earth that is so unstable. And I was like, all right, it's age.
Hey, welcome to Expat Diaries podcast, where we actually spend time visiting with people who've already made the journey that maybe you're considering. They've already made the leap from their home country to Costa Rica, whether it's permanent or whether it's temporary, whether they've followed somebody else down or whether they just went on vacation and fell in love. We have like so many different stories. And today we're talking to Marie, and Marie has a fun story of her journey to Costa Rica and what she does on the daily, and maybe some tips and tricks for you to make the journey yourself. So, Maria, tell me, Maria, the first time that you ever visited Costa Rica, what was that like, and like, where did you go?
Okay, so the very first trip, I came here after COVID. So I think it was one of those situations that a lot of people were in. We just wanted to travel. The COVID year was supposed to be my year of adventure, and I was planning to do all this traveling, and then COVID hit. So we were stuck. The following year, when the borders were opening, one of the countries that opened soonest was Costa Rica. And I had a great friend from college, one of my besties that I was a roommate with, and she had traveled to Costa Rica many times with her husband. And he did a lot of surfing throughout Costa Rica. So she already knew what Costa Rica was like. I didn't know anything about it. All I knew is that I love tropical nature. I love beauty. I love the oceans. I was excited to see waterfalls and volcanoes and things like that. So we looked up flights, and after COVID, things were super cheap. I think I had told you before, like we got like crazy $250 round trip or something, like from LAX to Costa Rica. So the flights were cheap. Everything was, really reasonable. Yeah. So on our first trip, we flew into Liberia, and we got a rental car, and she wanted to be the navigator and I was going to be the driver. And this is crazy because this is my first time coming to this country. And at first I was leery about driving, but so many people had told me, no, just get a car. You're going to be fine. You need a car. You're going to have a great time. You can do it. And my friend was great with navigating. So I actually drove from the minute, we got here, we got off the plane, we went to the rental car agency and got in the car, and we got on the road. I can't believe I was doing it, but I did. We drove all the way from the airport to Arenal,
Nice.
Arenal.
Nice. And so how long did you guys stay on that trip?
This was a 1-week trip. My first visit to Costa Rica was 1 week. And we did Arenal, Tabacon, La Fortuna, the waterfalls all around there.
So then would we be safe in saying that like you did the I fell in love on vacation with the country?
I definitely fit into that category. And I can tell you, it was when the plane landed. When I got off the plane, I have no reason to have this sentiment because I haven't seen anything yet. I haven't been here yet, but it was a feeling inside of me that I just felt like I love this place. I hadn't even seen it yet. And then once we got in the car and we're driving, I was just astounded at how beautiful it was. Everywhere we went, it was beautiful. And then for me, the whole experience of getting to Costa Rica and everything I've done in the last couple of years, I feel like all the doors have opened for me. Everything just flowed easily. So when we got here and getting through immigration and everything, I was using my Spanish. My Spanish I had started studying in 7th grade in junior high school. And I took it all through high school, and in college, I kept taking Spanish. I studied in Mexico City for a quarter abroad. I just always had this love and passion for the Spanish language and wanting to live in another country. And
That's
here
awesome.
It only took how many decades for me to actually do it, but it was always like in my heart. And once I got to Costa Rica, I just knew, oh, this was it all along. I just didn't know it.
Okay, so now you came to spend a week, and then you go back home, and then what?
So I start looking at my retirement plan. I'm like, Hey, when I turned 55, which was going to be like a year and a half out from that point, I
Yeah.
could take early retirement. There, I had a pension at work, and so I had the option: stop working and get free money, or keep working until you're, who knows, 65, whatever. I didn't want to do that, so I was like, I'm going to take my money, I'm going to cash out, and I'm just going to go live my life.
And so what was your job?
I was an ergonomics consultant for
Okay.
a large healthcare company in California. I did ergonomics consulting. I was involved with design and ergonomics assessments for workstations, making sure people stay safe and healthy in the work environment.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so you decided that you could take your retirement early, but you were still a year and a half away. So you
Yeah.
worked for another year and a half for the company and lived
Yeah.
in the LA area.
I was in Orange County in Dana Point, Laguna Beach area.
And so did you own a home? You have family, kids, any of those things that you had to consider for this?
Yes. So I was a renter. So that was one thing that was a little easier. But
For sure.
changing your entire life, whether you're renting or owning, it's a lot of steps. And
So much.
I did a lot of planning. It took time over years for me to figure out what I was going to do. But the renting part was going to be easy to end my lease. That wasn't a problem. But getting rid of all of my possessions, am I going to store any? What am I going to store? What am I going to get rid of? I gave away a ton of, furniture and things like that. So it was a lot of work, and you have to really do it over time,
Right.
because even when you really plan it out and give it time, it's still difficult. It can be difficult.
Well, I think you have to go like in two phases. First, like especially let's say that's going to take a year and a half before you're ready to make the transition. The first move you have to make is to start having that dialogue with yourself that I'm not a consumer anymore, right? So you stop shopping for stuff, right? Stop adding to the crap. And so
Yes,
that's step one is, I mean, I went through that. Like every time I would want something, I'd go, why do you want that? You're not a
yes,
consumer anymore. And I go, oh yeah, I forgot. I mean, like, and then I would consider, am I going to take the time to take this to Costa Rica with me? That would make the decision whether I purchased it or not. When I was in the States,
absolutely.
like, am I going to haul this stupid thing, this bowl? Am I going to haul this bowl all the way to Costa Rica? Then no, you probably don't need the bowl.
Right,
And
right.
so that's step one. And then it is, okay, then I start looking at the things that I've already acquired and go, is it making the trip? And if it's not, and if I don't know, then it goes in the I don't know pile. But there's a no, a yes, and an I don't know pile. And then I think I talked to somebody too, and they're like, so they put a bunch of stuff into a storage container, and they were going to ship it down. And then after they'd been down here for like a year, then they were like, I didn't need it. I don't know what was in there, and I don't need anything that's in there. Like
Mhm,
they were
mhm.
glad that they didn't go through the expense of
Yeah.
hauling all of that crap that we think that we're tied to in.
Mhm, mhm. And I have to say, it's one of my favorite things about Costa Rica is that it's not a materialistic, consumer-driven society. It's not.
Right.
So you can be very casual. I was listening to some of the other podcasts where people were talking about like what we wear day to day. Nobody cares what you're wearing. There's it's a The Costa Rican culture is very warm and embracing and welcoming of people, and they don't discriminate. They don't care what you look like. You're treated very well. It was very easy for me to get along here, to speak Spanish here. And this is after I've traveled to Spain, and my Spanish, I struggled so bad.
Oh wow.
It kicked my ass. Spain kicked my ass, and I was a little worried when I got to Costa Rica, and then I start speaking Spanish, and I'm like, everybody understands me. They know exactly what I'm saying. I can talk to everyone. So for me, that made the enjoyment of this adventure even greater, because it was always my desire to be able to communicate with people and live in the culture, be part of the community. I didn't want to have to be isolated and not be able to speak to anybody except, North American people.
Well, let's go back to California, right? So did you have family that was like, "Oh, Marie, you're crazy. What are you doing?"
Yeah, I had some of that. I think that my kids, they always knew that I had this adventurous spirit in me and I wanted to do such things. But at the time that I was sharing, oh, I think I'm gonna move to Costa Rica. That's when my daughter told me, "Oh, mom, I'm pregnant."
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so my daughter is pregnant. So that, now we have two little ones in the family. So that was the hardest part, I think, is like I'm trying to pursue my dream, and then my daughter's going to have children, and I want to be close to the grandchildren. So that was hard for all of us. But at the same time, I realized how close Costa Rica is, and how the flight is only 5.5 hours if you get a direct flight. It's
Right.
very, very close to California. So we can make this work. We can make it work. And I remembered my grandmother, who was an adventurer, and she was a single woman at the time. And she went to Japan, and she took a cruise to Mexico. And I remember her going to Japan, going to Greece, and I was astounded by that. And I was like, Grandma is going to Japan, and then she would bring back all these beautiful, colorful gifts for us. And I thought that was so exciting as a kid. And so then I think of it for myself, of me coming to Costa Rica. I'm like, well, how fun is it for the grandkids and my kids to be able to come visit me in a beautiful place? And when I go back home, I take little gifts and things, and it's been beautiful. Not that it hasn't been hard at times, but it's worked out. But I'm grateful for my independence, that I could do this, because as a single person, you only have to listen to yourself truly on this journey. Like, is this really where I'm meant to be? And I trusted my intuition. And when I've dated people in the past, nobody shared my crazy dreams and my crazy visions. And I was like, fine, I'll go without you.
Right. It's funny because my husband, and I say it probably if he would come to his own conclusion, I don't know that that would be a conclusion he would come to, but he's like my ride or die. So he's like, yeah, this is what we're doing. You love it.
Yeah,
Whatever. And so,
that's
so
amazing to
that
have.
works. Yeah, so that works out. That works out well for me. He loves Costa Rica just as much as I do, and it's funny because my kids are grown as well, and I have a 2 year old. My last grandchild is 2, so they're everywhere from 18 all the way down to 2. I have 5, and I was talking to my daughter in law yesterday because we're all part of a fantasy football team, and so we're just egging each other on, whatever. And so I had a so on Sundays they're in the state of Washington right now. So on Sundays, my second oldest son and my daughter-in-law and my youngest grandson, and then my youngest son and his wife, they're my boys are union electricians, and they are working in Washington. So on Sundays, Brody, my grandson, will FaceTime me and we'll get to talk whatever for a second until he's bored, and then he wanders off, and then I get to talk to the rest of them. And we were talking about, so Candace, my daughter-in-law, was like going, I just really feel like I want Brody to grow up and go to school around, her sister has a baby too, that they were born like 6 weeks apart, and go to school with Coulter, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I said, I was really close with my cousins and I never went to school with them. Like, we didn't ever go to the same school. I said, but, we grew up in the same town or whatever. And they had already expressed an interest in moving to Costa Rica. And I'm like, well, how will we feel about Coulter whenever we all move to Costa Rica? And she's like, oh, well, Coulter can come and visit then because he'll have because she's like, when we move, we're all moving. She's like, it's up to me to build like the family compound because they're all coming.
Yeah, that's like a dream. That's my dream as well, to have a property with a main house, and then all these casitas, which is very common here, and different people can come and live. And the Ticos, I've met so many Ticos that's the way they live. They have land, and it's a compound basically. Here's my house, here's my parents' house, my cousin's house, my aunt and uncle, and that's how they live. And
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful lifestyle because people are very connected and people are there for each other.
I think
And
so too.
yeah, and you receive that as a guest in their country. You receive that kindness.
Mhm.
People were concerned about me, were worried about me. You're going by yourself, like, aren't you scared? And not once. I was never afraid. I was never worried. And once I'm here, the fact that I am alone has opened up the opportunity for people to step up and be there for me, and I let myself receive that gift of last week. I hurt my back just before I was moving to the next location, and I had to reach out to others to send helps. I needed help. I literally could not bend. I could not pack. And I was pointing at things with my feet, like of what to do. And I'm able to communicate in Spanish. So everyone was helping me pack my things up. And I thought, these are the opportunities that make me really see what a beautiful culture this is and how wonderful the people are. Very giving and
Right.
generous. I fell, I think 2 years ago, I fell. I was walking down a mountain. I was going to go to the bus stop, and I slipped and fell and landed on my right hip and my side. The worst fall I've ever taken.
Mm.
I had a few. That was something I was going to talk about for the guests. I'm like, I think people should know about this, because what's dangerous about Costa Rica, I don't feel endangered for my well-being, like as a single female traveling around the country. I think the environment is hazardous. I have slipped and fallen going down the mountain. On one of the properties, I twisted my ankle going down to like a natural pool.
Yeah.
I could not walk. I could not get out of there myself. I had to yell for people. And when someone did come to help me, the big strong guy that came, he actually carried me, and they took me to my cabina, and the wife was there, and everyone was like nursing my foot and helping me get well. And I was like, I've never gotten hurt so many times in my life. Since I come to Costa Rica, I'm getting hurt more. But at the same time, I've had people surround me and step up and be there for me as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's so funny because, especially in the dry season, when you're in the dry season, like the gravel just moves underneath your feet. So you're either going up or down no matter where you're going, right? And so it's like you have to be very careful. I did this, I was talking about that, like when I'd done some sort of an analogy on hiking, right? So hiking, when you're going uphill, um, you're using different muscle groups, right? You're using different parts of your foot when you're going up, right? And if you're smart, when you're on a steep incline, you're not stopping. You are going solid because the inertia that you need to keep you going up that incline, you've got to maintain that momentum. Because the minute you stop, then you have to get that momentum built back up again to go up that incline. And going down, you use a whole different set of muscles and parts of your foot, because you if you step on your heel and that gravel starts giving out on you, you're going down. So when you're going down, you're very cautious which part of your foot is hitting, so that it's testing whether that's going to roll or not. You still have part of your foot to catch you. I generally always go up and down with sticks of some sort, just to kind of test and see like what the ground is like. Is it loose? Is it whatever? And it's so important. Matter of fact, when we come down in December, like, well, that's probably the first thing I'll pack is our hiking sticks. We have those collapsible hiking sticks, and it's like they go everywhere with us.
It's a great idea. One of the last house sits that I did, I ended up getting bamboo stick along the road, and I would use that all the time. And I was like,
Mhm.
I never thought about this in the past, but it's really necessary here because it's easy to slip. You could slip on gravel, you can slip on wet. The rock was just a little bit wet, and it seems like no matter what shoes I have, I've got the tennis shoes, I've got the Keen shoes, I've got water shoes, everything, you can still slip in everything, and you have to be really careful. So that would be one of my pieces of advice to people, is to really take your time, take it slow when you're doing some of these nature activities. Well, living in Costa Rica, you're always in nature, so there's always the potential that you could slip, trip, twist an ankle, because they don't have all the perfect sidewalks and ramps and
Right.
things like you do back home. You have to be careful. And
Well,
then
and
you
I'm
um,
always thinking about, I'm not to interrupt you, I'm always thinking about, like, whenever I walk, like, it's so hard to stay focused, right? On You want to see everything around you, right? But
right,
when I'm out, I'm walking, I'm looking, where's my next step going? And then
yeah,
if I want to look at something, I stop my feet from moving, and then I stop and I enjoy where I'm at. But then whenever I'm moving again, I'm watching where my next step goes, where
yeah,
my next step goes.
yeah.
Because I've done almost slid down a mountain before too. And I'm like, I don't want to be somewhere and have to worry about, like, oh my God, just because you were careless, now broken a leg or you've twisted your ankle, you've done whatever. And you and I both know like stuff just takes longer to heal when you're our age. It's stupid. Like we don't produce enough of the crap that we did when we were 20 to heal
Exactly.
ourselves. And so I'm just super careful. Like it, and I just watch every step I take. I know where the next step is going. And then when I want to see something, someone's like, oh my God, there's a blah, blah, blah. Then I plant my feet, I stop, and then I go, okay, I'm going to look now.
Yeah, see, I was walking the dog out in this neighborhood. I've got my bamboo stick. I'm going really cautious, really easy. And this young man comes running by, just running on this earth that is so unstable. And I was like, all right, it's age. Part of this is age. I have to be so much more careful. And that's just the reality. I do see a lot of the younger people exercising out in that environment, and I don't see them slipping and falling. I don't know. But for us, more mature people, just be prepared for this type of thing and have your insurance in place.
Yeah.
Take the travel insurance, take the car insurance. You need it. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, we are seasoned, and that's what I'm going to call myself is seasoned. I
Yeah.
actually call myself trans decade because I identify as 47. However, I'm 60, and whatever. But I just do. I think about things differently now. In the past, I probably would have just been sightseeing and watching stuff and going and not being aware of my environment. But not only do you have to worry about like the slip and the fall, but you have to worry about, is there a snake there? Is there, what else could be an environmental hazard that I didn't see in Orange County? You talk about the sidewalks and the nice areas to walk. Well, we don't have that. And even when you're driving, one of the things that's so important, and I saw a post about it the other day in one of the Facebook groups, right? So the side paint on the road, came over, and then there was a water drainage ditch thing right here. And if you were driving and you weren't aware of that right there, and you went to turn that corner right there, you probably would have popped a tire off of there.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing even your driving environment and where you're going and how you're getting there, and what are some of the hazards that may be on the way from here to there, and remember to be aware of those things, because what we consider what would be acceptable in the US roads wise is not necessarily the same standard that they hold to down here. And it doesn't mean it's worse. It just means it's different. And you've got to be aware you're not in the US. This line doesn't always mean that this is a safe edge right here.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to your environment all the time. You can't take your eyes off the road because they don't have like a lot of leeway. Like on one side, it will just be a ditch. And if your car goes in that ditch, the car rolls.
Yep, you're upside down.
Yeah, it's not good.
I mean, how many times have we seen that? Like you go, oh my God, and every time it's over there, it's upside down. Like that, if that car went off the side, it is upside down every time. And it's like, gosh, dang it. So yeah, you have to be careful everywhere. Whether you're driving, there's not a lot, even if you're on the Costa Rica, right? There's not a lot of street lights. You're just literally driving in the dark. One time I was making the drive back to San Jose, and like the big stretch of windy road that gets before you get to Tarcoles, whenever you're coming like from the southern zone up that way, they had repaved the road and they hadn't repainted it yet. And so there was no side edge, and you don't realize how much you depend on that white stripe right there.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I was like so stressed out, and the only thing was missing was that side stripe. And I was like, holy crap, this is stressing me out that I can't see where that's at. And there's no light, right? So there's like no street lights, and there's no of that reflective paint. And that stressed the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty much I'm a good weather driver, like daytime, not too much rain, I'm still very cautious. I don't drive at night or in heavy rain because you can't see everything. But the people that drive at night, usually they really know the roads. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and you never know when you're going to come up on somebody just walking. They're just walking down the road and you can't see them until like you're right on them.
yeah.
And it's scary. It's scary to me that they would even consider doing that, but this is their way of life. So, they're happy with that. Okay. So let's talk about what you actually do in Costa Rica for entertainment, for fun, for money, for hospitality, for whatever. What do you do all day?
I enjoy life so much. I just love being here, period. I do get this question a lot from my friends. How do you keep busy? My friends are like saying, I don't know what I'm going to do when I retire. I need to keep busy. And I am very comfortable with relaxing and enjoying. And I was joking with my friend yesterday, my totem animals are the koala and the sloth. Okay. So this is my pace of life. Like, I'm enjoying life. I just want to be in nature. I love to go to yoga when I can, go to yoga class, go to the beach, go to waterfalls, everything pretty much nature related, relaxing, enjoying, getting to know people, creating friendships everywhere I go. I make friends. I have friends all over Costa Rica, and um, I have a lot of good connections. And now that I started house sitting and pet sitting, I've got even more friends and connections, and I'm taking care of wonderful houses and pets. And that's been amazing.
Right. So tell us about the house sitting and the pet sitting.
Okay. So there is a website called Trusted House Sitters, and it's an app you can get on your phone, website as well. And you can put a profile up. There is a membership fee. So you've paid into this system. You put a profile up. You take pictures of yourself and all the animals you've taken care of. You get your references lined up. You go through a background check. There's certain things like that. So for me, traveling as a single person, I felt most secure doing house sits with people that were already on the platform, because the homeowners as well, they get reviewed, and you
Right.
get to see pictures of their home and get you're doing your due diligence on both ends. They get to know me, I get to know them. Whereas there are the free Facebook pages where people will secure house and pet sitting. I have gotten a couple of things from there, but I've been very, very particular. And I always make sure I do like a video chat, video visit with people to see their surroundings and meet the animals and meet the people before I make any decisions.
So then do you get paid to do that, or it's just accommodations? You could stay in their house for free while they're, or do they pay you?
No, this is unpaid. You are just getting accommodations. So you get to stay in somebody's lovely house and take care of their lovely pets in exchange for a nice place to stay. This sit that I happen to be on right now, I have access to a car as well.
That's
And
nice.
I didn't have a car in my last place. So this has been really great.
It's beautiful. So where are you at today?
I am in the mountains of Uvita.
Oh, nice. Nice,
Mm.
nice, nice. That's one of my favorite places, the mountains there. And so, when you don't have a gig, a house sitting or pet sitting gig, where do you live?
So I've been living this kind of in between life. How do I explain this? I've got a lot of house sitting through the end of the year because I'm going back to California next. I'm going to go to Austin, Texas for a little bit, then I go to California, and I've got sits arranged through mid-January, and then I'll start looking for Costa Rica. The problem that I encountered last year is that I could not get enough sits back to back. I really needed a place to call home. So I'm looking at longer term rentals now. So I want to have my own place. I'll still do pet sitting and house sitting for the experience, because it's nice to go somewhere new and meet new people and be with animals. So I'll still do that kind of as a travel thing, but I need a home base, especially with my luggage. I have more stuff now because every time I go to the US, I would bring another suitcase. So I need a place to keep my things. I want to settle down and pick a place and have my own home, but I still haven't decided.
Like where it'll be?
I just love Costa Rica so much, and I'm still traveling around and experiencing different places.
I love it. I love it. It's funny. I met this couple. I did a podcast with them, Jaja Bus. And so they were Canadians, are Canadians,
Mhm.
and were Canadians. They're Canadians, and they rehabbed a bus and drove it all the way down. They turned it into an RV, drove it all the way down to all the way through. They would stay in each country on the way down for as long as their visa would allow them, and then they would make their way out. And when I interviewed them, they were,
Yeah.
gosh, I think they were up in Nasara somewhere. They were up in that area, but they
Mhm.
planned on making it all the way down to Argentina.
Wow.
And yeah, it's amazing. So they have their journey is all on social media, and it's fabulous. I mean, they literally they'll come in, and if this country will let them stay for 6 months, then they'll stay there for 6 months, and then they'll move on to the next country and just keep going south. But their adventure is just fun. I mean, literally, I love it.
And that's a good thing that's happened with Costa Rica now, is that we have a 6-month visa. We have 180 days we can be here. When I first started traveling, it was 90 days, and that I was just a little too soon. It was putting a lot of pressure on like the timing, in and out, in and out, in and out, and I couldn't get a rhythm. I'm like, I really need to be there longer. So I do like this 6 months, and I'm settling into a rhythm of where I think I'll be in Costa Rica most of the year, but I'll leave around November, December to go back and be with family in California for the holidays, and then come back to Costa Rica. Then when I go back to California, it's June. It's around June, July, and those are our birthday months. My daughter and my granddaughter have birthday in June. I have a birthday in July, and a lot of my friends, tons of friends, have June birthdays and July birthdays. So I finally think I have a rhythm and a flow of what I'm going to be doing, and that 6-month visa has made that possible.
Yeah, I love that too. I love that they did that. So if you guys go to episode 16 and want to catch up on Jaja and Martin and their Canadian bus and their dog named Yoda, that's just a really fun little podcast that we did, and follow their adventure on social. I love it. And so for you, so we know that you're getting ready to head back to Cali, see the grandbaby, spend some time with friends back there. And then like, have you decided this is your forever home right now? Like, this is where I'm going to be the exotic grandma, or Mimi, or what does she call you? What does your granddaughter call you?
They call me Ama.
Ama. I love it.
Yeah, my little granddaughter, she created that name, and she's called me that since she was really little. And it warms my heart because it's a version of a Spanish word, amar. Amar is to love. And so she calls me Ama, and that makes me very happy.
That's awesome. I love it. And then do you ever see a time when your kids would consider moving down here with you?
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know that they would, but I think they could come for periods of visiting. I would look forward to like their breaks, their summer breaks and things like that. I would love for them to come down, because I would like to, I do feel like Costa Rica is my home. This is where I just feel the most like myself. I feel happy. I love the environment. It just feels right to me. So I want to establish a place, be in one spot, and then be able to start bringing friends and family to come visit. That's
I love it. I love it. And so when you come back after this, you'll be looking for a long-term rental?
Yeah, I think so. Unless things just happen to land in my lap again, because like I said, sometimes things just come to me and I'm open to it. Like I could go anywhere in the country because I have this freedom and flexibility. I may get called to do an assignment. I'm just looking for long-term sits in 2025. And if I do not get those, then I'm going to look for a rental that's long-term.
Understood. Love that. Yeah. I love that. Well, I thank you for sharing your story with us. And if anybody like ever wants like more information, just reach out. I will connect you with Marie there. I'm glad your back is feeling better. We'd actually scheduled this podcast last week, and she was like, I'm so sorry. I hurt my back. I can't do this. And I'm like, not a big deal. Let's move it out. So I'm glad your back is feeling better. I don't know if you've found a chiropractor. There's one at the Feria generally on Saturdays in Uvita.
Yes. I've gotten some great referrals. Costa Rica is full of healers, which is great.
For sure. I went and saw my chiropractor this morning. So like, if I can go, like, there's times when it's so funny because that's where I start always first. Like something's wrong, I call my chiropractor first and go. Like even people think I'm crazy. I had an eye twitch one time for 6 weeks. Like it would not go away. I tried all of the things, lemon pill, banana test, all this stuff, right? And finally I went to my chiropractor. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to go crazy. If it doesn't stop twitching, I'm going to lose my mind. And like, he poked around on me for a little bit. And then like, I don't even know what he did. And then it was gone. And I'm like, thank you. I don't even know, but I appreciate it. You know, there was something that nerve was just this wouldn't stop firing. And it was a nice fix. So I always start there. So it's good to know like where your resources are.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Marie. I appreciate your time today. And I know it looks like a beautiful day there. It looks like the sun is shining and it's gorgeous and you don't have any rain right now. So I bet you're itching to get out and enjoy some of that beautiful Costa Rica weather.
Thank you so much, Robin. It was wonderful being with you.
For sure. You too. And to everybody else, you're planning a trip to Costa Rica to test it all out. By all means, come through some of the podcasts that we've already recorded. They're everything from Guanacaste all the way down to Golfito, all the way over to Limon. So any people who've already made those trips who live in the big cities, some live in the mountains, some live in the beach towns, find the information that you need and, start reaching out to these people and get more information. They'll be glad to help you. But until then, pura vida.
Pura vida.